What a week I've had in fragrance. There are some stunning 10 out of 10 fragrances that, well, as the title says, I can't stop wearing. Let me tell you about them. As I've moved through this week in fragrance, I've been choosing to wear some amazing fragrances, some 10 out of 10s, but I've also discovered some new fragrances at the various things and events that I've gone to. So as we go through this video, I'm going to tell you what I've been up to and what fragrances I've been wearing and have discovered along the way. I started off my week with this beauty, and it's been a warm week, so this has been perfect. It's a brand new release, or I should say re-release, from Terence Hughes Blood Orange. This is quite an intense orange fragrance. There's mandarin orange, blood orange and tangerine, so quite a bit of orange. There's also jasmine, musks, amber and sandalwood, so this is quite a full, voluptuous sort of fragrance, but the orange is definitely the dominating accord. Now this was already quite an intense orange fragrance, but Aaron has used different aroma chemicals in this re-released version, so he's saying that he's made it more intense, that it's longer lasting, it's got better performance. It is a strong fragrance. If you want a strong citrus fragrance, if you want a citrus for the summer that doesn't just fizzle away and fade away after a couple of hours as so many citrus fragrances do, this has got enough in it, enough intensity to be a long-lasting, fresher fragrance. It's a really good mix of fun, playful, classy, sophisticated, but it's also a bit of a head turner because it is so strong. So this one, in my opinion, is a 10 out of 10 fragrance. Well done, Aaron. I've really been enjoying that this week. Another new release that I just can't stop wearing, and I have mentioned this a few times, but I think this is shaping up to be one of the best releases of 2026, if not the best. That is still to be decided because I need to get to the end of the year to see what else has been released. But this is a stunning scent from perfumer Quentin Biche in Chloé's Atelier de Feu's collection. This is Sous le Pin. There's a warm Mediterranean breeze blowing through a pine forest. There's some beautiful aromatic eucalyptus, but this has got a musky, sensual creaminess at the same time. This fragrance has blown me away. Quentin Biche has come up with an absolute stunner, which is saying something because there's a lot of Quentin Biche fragrances coming out at the moment and he doesn't really miss, and this is definitely a massive hit as far as I'm concerned. This could be a bit of a sleeper gem. I don't feel like that many people are talking about this at the moment, but when I spray this on, I feel like on my skin it comes off as this really empowering, head-turning, masculine sort of cologne smell. It smells very refined and classy, like I said, with a little bit of a nod to vintage, classic, masculine perfumery, but it's definitely a unisex fragrance. Anyone can wear this. This is just how it comes off on my skin. As well as that though, there is this very sensual, pleasing, creamy, musky quality that it dries down into. It is just so satisfying to wear. I've got to have another little spray now because, like I said, I can't stop wearing this. This is a stunning creation from Quentin Biche. Please, if you have an opportunity to go to a store that sells Chloé fragrances, go and smell it because I think most people are gonna love it. Moving on to some more amazing fragrance discoveries. As you might have seen from my previous video, I was at the Niche show recently. If you haven't seen that video, I picked out my top 5 fragrances that I felt I smelled at the show, so go back and watch that if you haven't already. But I came away with quite a few perfumes, not only from the Niche show, but also from the couple of days that I was in London. There was various events going on. So I'm going to show you what I came home from London with, and within this haul are some of the 10 out of 10 fragrances. The first little bag of goodies that I came away with is from Hormone Paris. I did smell these a couple of years ago at Essence in Milan. Really impressed with the brand, but they were at the Niche show, so I got to explore them in a bit more depth actually, and there's been some newer creations since then. So I came away with a discovery set from the brand, which is always welcome because you can really just fully appreciate a brand in your own time. They do some body spray, so there's a bright, uplifting all over body spray here. This is the body spray version of This Is Not Melatonin. I got 2 fragrances, both of which I just think are fantastic. This is not serotonin. This has a bit of an oriental vanilla style profile, so it does have that sort of cozy, comforting aspect, but there's some brightness as well. There's some greener notes, there's some wood, there's some oud. It smells so good. The one that I actually can't stop wearing, and this is because I'm a bit of a coffee fiend, is called This Is Not Caffeine. And this is not just a straight up black, intense espresso coffee fragrance. There's a lot more going on with that. And just look at these bottles. I think they've done a great job in the presentation. This one has notes of caramel, coconut, cinnamon. There's a bit of peppermint, tonka bean, coffee, ginger. So there's a warm, spicy aspect. You can detect the coffee in this, but it's definitely not the dominant note. Cardamom isn't one of the notes listed, but I feel like I get this beautiful, fresh cardamom spiciness. There's a bit of sweetness from caramel and cinnamon, but it's not an overly sweet fragrance. There's a little bit of coffee. It's a bit more like a latte sort of smell rather than an intense black coffee kind of a smell. And then there's some leather giving the fragrance some backbone. This is, if you know my love of fragrances, then this is an absolute stunner. And yeah, I can't stop wearing this one. A brand at the niche show that I discovered for the first time, I think they've been going for a few years, but this was my first time smelling them, is Kinetic Perfumes. I picked up their Discovery set. This was one of those rare brands for me that I literally loved everything that I smelled. I was trying to pick out a favorite to bring away because they asked me which one I would like, and it was so hard to choose. In the end, the one that I decided to go with was a fragrance called Aura. Aura is this slightly powdery, exotic fruit. There's some pineapple, there's some passion fruit. It's also got some orange, raspberry, plum, and a little bit of caramel. Imagine all those fruity notes that I've just mentioned, just drizzled in a bit of caramel. Not too much. It's not an overly sweet fragrance, but just enough to give it this very mass appealing sweetness, but there's a woodiness to it as well, so it's definitely got some backbone. It's kind of ticking all the boxes for a very wearable fragrance. If you're into fragrances that might get you some compliments that literally anyone around you would probably enjoy, this is one of those. So I love this, and I chose this because of all of their scents. I thought this is probably the one that I would wear the most because it's so wearable and I can't stop wearing it. In fact, it's versatile, it smells beautiful. I've been wearing this a lot because it is so suited to lots of different occasions. Beautiful scent profile, excellent performance. I can't really fault this fragrance, but there are others, as I mentioned, in the line. Another particular standout of mine was one called Neo Sillage. That was a real evening, formal occasion, statement making head turner. Perhaps I wouldn't wear that on as many occasions as this one, but it is another standout from the line. But if you've not tried Kinetic Perfumes, I can highly recommend giving them a sniff because there's a lot in here to like. At the niche show, one of my favorite brands, Kajal fragrances, so many of theirs that I love, and I've loved them for years, and they offer such a range of fragrances. You can go with Kajal Pour Homme if you want something a little more mass appealing and designer-ish like, but then they create some really intense head-turning statement makers like Ruby, like Lamar Noir. There's some great stuff going on at Kajal, and I actually smelled this fragrance for the first time last year. I got a bit of a sneak preview in Cannes at the tax-free, but I've actually come away from the niche show with a bottle gifted to me. I am incredibly grateful because when I smelled this last year, I adored it. I think this is just a new release for 2026. It's called the Whispering Oud. This is part of a new line of fragrances from Kajal that each scent has its own story. So this particular fragrance is the story of a princess who goes in search of all the ingredients. She goes on an adventure and finds the ingredients that create this scent. And let me tell you about the ingredients because there's some good ones. Dried fruits, tobacco leaf, French pastries, leather, honey, rose, oud, Peru balsam, sweet notes, tonka bean and musks. I mean, come on, those notes. You know my taste in fragrances. If your taste in fragrances is similar to mine, then there's a lot to be excited about with this scent. French pastries, oud, tobacco, dried fruits, it's all the good stuff is going on. Presentation is as always with Kajal, just amazing, especially with this new line that's inspired by these stories, these original stories that have been created around the fragrances. It comes with the story books in the box, and the bottle is Kajal's 30 ml bottle, and these are just like little ornaments in their own right. They are stunning, especially if you don't want to travel with a big bottle. It's great to have these little X-Straight 30 mls. If you didn't already watch the previous video to this one, you can hear Mo, the brand owner, talking about the inspiration, the story behind this fragrance and some of the notes in this scent, but it's just, yeah. I'm into this. I've never smelled anything like this before. It's a unique creation. It really resonates with what I love in fragrance. So if you love what I love, then I think you really do need to try the Whispering Oud. This is going to be a massive hit, I think, for Kajal. Just quickly, 2 more events I attended on this trip. The first one was this very lavish evening event by Davidoff to celebrate the launch of their new Cool Elixir Saffron Mineral. This definitely has a connection with the original Cool Elixir smell, which was an aquatic scent with just a little bit of rose oud. It wasn't a heavy rose oud. If you're used to smelling a lot of these very Middle Eastern traditional rose oud, it wasn't that. Very wearable fragrance. This is definitely along the same lines, but obviously with the addition of saffron, so it's a little warmer, a little spicier, slightly darker, so I'd say it's a bit more of an evening sort of date night sensual fragrance wear than the other. This one also has some fruitiness that the original doesn't. There's a red apple in this, hence the red and the red of the saffron. This one is actually created by Quentin Biche. We've already spoken about Quentin Biche in this video, and yeah, enough said. A new Cool Elixir, very wearable. It's a Quentin Biche fragrance. It's a Biche banger. Another event I was lucky enough to attend was with Jusbox. They invited me to a Michelin-starred restaurant in Soho to celebrate the launch of their new California-inspired fragrance, Wave of Freedom. And as you might expect, this is definitely a summery fragrance. It's a bit of an exotic tropical style scent. There's coconut, pear, cinnamon and pineapple. I should say, don't be put off by the pear note. Sometimes that can come off as smelling a little feminine, but that is sort of an aroma chemical interpretation of pear. I think they used a new technology in this fragrance to extract the actual smell of pear. So this is a very realistic, juicy, very refreshing pear smell. Not listed in the notes, but when I spray this on my skin, I also get this little bit of like a brown sugar, almost like a caramelized brown sugar, and it just works so well with the exotic notes. It's a good release and one that I'm definitely going to be wearing this summer. The final fragrance I'm going to talk about is one that I smelled for the first time at the Jasmine Awards that were run by the Fragrance Foundation. This is an event that I was actually invited to by Maison Crivelli, which was very kind of them to reach out and give me an invitation. I did feel like I wanted to wear a Crivelli fragrance to the event. I hadn't brought any with me to London, so I popped into Harrods, and their team there were very helpful and recommended a cheeky little layering combination of Oud Cadenza and their latest release, Musk Nurasana. So they hooked me up with these little samples, which is what I wore to the Jasmine Awards, and it was a killer layering combo. I can really recommend it. If you have those 2 fragrances, try them, Oud Cadenza and Musk Nurasana, fantastic. So the event was great because there's a lot of people there that I knew. It was a great networking event held at BAFTA in London. I've never been to BAFTA before, always been curious what BAFTA looks like on the inside, and now I have found out. So not TV and film legends, but this one had fragrance legends. There was a lovely breakfast spread there, and then we went for the actual awards, and it's great to see people that you know nominated as finalists. And then we had lunch, so I was well fed by the Fragrance Foundation that day. One of the other brands that was sponsoring the event, as well as Maison Crivelli, was Boadicea the Victorious. This is a brand that I really enjoy. They had a lot of their fragrances for display, and they asked me if I wanted to take one of their little minis home, one of the little 10ml minis. One that jumped out at me, which was an instant love. This is an incredible fragrance, easily a 10 out of 10, and when I tell you what it smells like, you'll understand why I love it so much. It's harmonious. This is a 2022 release from the brand. There's ambrette, cognac, rum, cardamom, cinnamon, saffron, iris, rose, cashmere, leather, sandalwood and vanilla. The reason that this was an instant love for me is because it reminded me a little bit of one of my favorite designer fragrances of all time that you can't buy anymore. It's a masterpiece. That is Dior Homme Parfum, the original version, not the current one, the original. This has that same kind of iris, that leather. It's got that deep, sorry, having a moment. It's got that deep, rich, very sensual profile to it, but it's a little more intense than Dior Homme Parfum, if that's possible, but I think it is with this fragrance, and it's a bit boozier with the cognac, the rum. So take everything I love about Dior Homme Parfum, the ambrette, the iris, the leather, a little bit of rose, and then just throw some booze in there. Yes, please. I'm in. 10 out of 10 stunner. If you're mourning the loss of the original Dior and Parfum, if you're looking for something to replace it with, I know that Boadicea aren't the cheapest of brands, but if you can afford it and you want to treat yourself and invest in something that you know that you really love, if you like Dior and Parfum but with a bit of extra strength, extra booziness, then Harmonious from Boadicea the Victorious is definitely one for you to smell. They're in quite a few stores, so go and smell it. Give it a try, put it on your skin, see if you really love it, and if you do, maybe for you, that might justify the cost of this one, but this is amazing. So that was my week in fragrance, and they were some 10 out of 10 fragrances that I've discovered and that I've been wearing. Please look into these if you can. If you get an opportunity to give any of these a sniff, go and try them because I can highly recommend them. Thanks for hanging out with me. If you've been wearing some 10 out of 10 fragrances this week, I would love to hear what you've been wearing, so drop those down in the comments. If you like this video, you know what to do. Give it a like, it really helps. Subscribe if you haven't already, and if you do all that, I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.